You can do what you want in the Gulf.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill was supported by the facts.
Oh, did you find the leak?
Oh, did you toss on a hook?
Yeah. Catching some bass.
Black or green?
Black.
I'd go black, yeah.
I got a couple green.
I'd go green, then. BP, go green.
Excuse me. I'm talking to you. Yes. Yes, you. The one who's sort of watching this, but also Googling your horoscope, eating bacon, and texting your mother-in-law about where Thanksgiving will be this year?
I'm Tony Hayward.
So?
BP has taken full responsibility for cleaning up the spill in the Gulf.
You asked the questions.
Yeah.
That's terrible, though. How can you let something like that happen?
Yeah.
Did BP have over, like, 500 violations for their company of safety and how they use their equipment? And, like, all the... They're more than that, like 700, right?
It's like 730 something, man.
And all the other companies had, like, maybe 4 or 2 or 1.
What happened?
The Gulf spill is a tragedy that never should have happened.
What was the one in Alaska? The Valdez? Yeah.
They bought 30 of Kevin Costner's machines. Like, yeah, he has this company which he invested in personally that's supposed to refine. It's supposed to purify the water and it's supposed to clean up oil spills.
Robin didn't. It's gonna help all the animals.
How long has it been? At least 2 months, right?
It's been 2 months. It's been like probably almost 70 days.
I know they dished out $20 billion, but they have to be making profit somehow to just keep letting it go on, man.
Yeah.
BP responded yesterday that it would indeed pay all legitimate claims.
How much?
BP is confident that it can meet its additional financial obligations.
The golf balls and the tires that they tried to shove down the pipe.
Let's just like shoot him into a giant hole.
Hay as well. They used to try to use hay.
They used hay?
Yeah. Just soak it up.
BP says the cap it's placed over the blown-out well in the Gulf of Mexico is now capturing about half the oil spewing from it.
They kept on denying that there was no impact seen. You know, there were no. I can't remember the term for it, but it is essentially just a coagulation of the oil, you know, in a certain spot. And they said that it, as far as they knew, it didn't exist. But the Coast Guard and private sources, they were all
saying it was one that was 2 miles long or something.
Yeah.
A third of the federal waters in the Gulf of Mexico are now closed to fishermen because of the spill.
No fishing zone's like the size of like New England, but like the actual oil is like the size of Wyoming.
Tumbles from the Gulf of Mexico oil spill are now washing ashore on the Florida Panhandle. It is the farthest east the oil has reached.
I like the BP rep though, sweating in like Congress.
I wasn't part of that decision-making process. I was not involved in that decision. I can't recall that number, I'm afraid. I can't answer that question because I wasn't there. I'm afraid I can't recall that either. That was a decision I was not party to. You'll get it as soon as we can make them available to you.
Moral? It is better to ask some of the questions than to know all the answers. Scotty, who knew too much.
BP CEO Tony Hayward took the day off to attend a yacht race in England yesterday.
I ultimately take responsibility for solving this crisis.
Don't you want to ask any questions about him?
They need to do more than what they're doing. Other than that, I have no idea.
The problem is that there's 3,000 other holes in the ground under the ocean that could go through exactly the same situation.
Are you angry at BP? Very. Are you angry at the president? No.
And now to give her version of the Oval Office address that perhaps President Obama should have given. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the 45th President of the United States, Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Madam President.
The oil industry in 2010 is proving conclusively, day after every single freaking day, that what they do is really not safe.
We suddenly have to grow up and deal with our mess. And we're not doing a good job of it. We're waiting for somebody else to come along and do it. And we're all helpless. Just helplessly watching this happen to us. So, yeah, BP's to blame. But I'm not going to hate BP because we wouldn't be driving and I wouldn't be working on cars. I wouldn't be making my living doing this if it wasn't for BP and companies like that.
The estimated 40 million gallons that's spilled so far, well, that's about the same amount America consumes in a little over 1 hour.
To do what with?
We've organised the largest environmental response in this country's history. More than 2 million feet of boom, 30 planes and over 1,300 boats are working to protect the shoreline. Where oil reaches the shore, thousands of people are ready to clean it up.
BP should not be running the Gulf region like a prison warden. We've got to stop that.
So?
There's these creatures they know nothing about, but they live at the bottom of 5,000 feet in the dark, and they eat oil. And there's creatures all over the planet that have adapted to eat and break down hydrocarbons so that they can survive in their particular environment. So we can only hope that those creatures will step up to the plate and help us.
BP's runaway oil gusher is having an impact far beyond the shores of the Gulf of Mexico.
It stinks out here. The sun is hot. It's evaporating some of the oil. And at times, I've gotten a little dizzy out here. And that's not from the motion of the ocean. It is just very noxious.
So?
The Smile Squad over at BP has started their own YouTube channel.
All the pictures of the wildlife that have been covered in oil, and then they clean them up, and then they release them, and they go flying right back into the oil.
There were a number of animals that were oiled, some of them seemingly heavily, but as you approach, they're still completely capable of flying. So here we're looking at birds that are still very vigorous. The ingestion of the oil and the eventual effects of that will make them more sluggish and make them more capturable.
See? Covering those birds with oil makes them easier to capture so we can clean off all that oil. It's called the Circle of Life.
When you start to get that BP feeling, like blobs of gunk are floating in your head, you might actually crave something sharp and true to eat through all the muck.
We're waiting for some Superman to come along and fix the problem.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled life for the following break.
Got it, ready?
Oh, beautiful force heroes prove in
I think this is the part we never learned.
I think we stopped. Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. All right, that was fair.
Good night, and good luck.